Welcome back to another episode of the Three Terrible Gamers podcast. This is episode 132 here with Colin.
Hey guys.
All right, we only have two topics for you guys. We have the Nintendo Direct for the Switch 1 on March 27th because we didn't record last week, but we'll go ahead and start with that.
Oh yeah. I'm used to you asking a question, but yeah, it's a whole direct thing, so never mind. uh, so for the one that came out on March 27th, it was just a crap ton of games and a couple extra mentions for Nintendo, but mainly games. Dragon Quest 1-2 2D HD remake coming out in 2025. No Sleep for Kaname date from AI, the Solemn Files, July 25th, 2025. Radio Remastered, The Mystery of the Soulless Army comes out June 19th, 2025. Shadow Labyrinth, July 18th, 2025. I'm just going to start saying 25. I think you guys will understand.
Yeah, they should.
Patapon 1 and 2 Replay, July 11th, 25. Story of the Seasons, Grand Bazaar, August 27th, 25. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, 25. Because they decided not to put a date with that one.
Yeah.
I initially had a theory behind it, but that theory got pretty much proven wrong on the second topic of today.
It's probably the same theory I had with it, but
Because how soon it actually is happening.
yeah.
Dylan Dylan Cursed Cafe, it released on the day of that direct on the 27th. Witchbrook comes out holiday of 25. Eternal Life Goldman holiday of 25. Gradius Origins August 7th, 25. Riff of the Necro Dancer, it came out the day of the direct. Tamagotchi Plaza June 27th, 25. What is Tamagotchi doing back in existence? Pokemon Legends ZA, another game that didn't get a actual release window, but just the year 2020 or 25. The virtual game card got announced on this direct. Howlin' Life, May 6th, 25. Star Overdrive, April 10th, 25. So basically a couple days after this releases. The Wandering Village, July 17th, 25. King of Meat,
Nice.
2025. Luz Lagoon, Summer, 25. Fantasy Life 1, The Girl Who Steals Time, May 26, 25. Saga Frontier 2 Remastered, it came out the day of the direct. Monument Valley 2, April 15th, 25. Monument Valley 3 also coming in summer 25. Everybody's Golf Hot Shots 25. Marvel Cosmic Invasion Holiday at 25. Tamagotchi Life Living the Dream 2026. And Nintendo Today app released on the day of the direct.
I downloaded it. I've been using it the past few days. Just get news and different crap to look at, Nintendo related.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all the things in that Nintendo Direct. Do you think that is the last Switch 1 Direct?
The fact that we usually get a direct in early June when, well, it goes along with the second topic in a general sense. I say it'll be a combo. I say this is 27th was the last standalone one.
That's what I think.
But I believe that we will get another technical one in June.
All right.
Because, I mean, again, it's hard to say what I want to say with this, with the next topic being that what the next topic is, since there's only two of them.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I think it'll have at least one more, just not a standalone.
Yeah, so I think this was the last, like you said, standalone Switch 1 Direct, because I think from now on, anything that releases on the Switch 1, they'll just announce it in that same Direct that they're releasing new games for the Switch 2.
But still, in a technical stance, it still wasn't a standalone because we kind of assumed that, Metroid Prime was going to be on both systems, which no doubt that it will be.
Oh, it's already
Uh,
confirmed. Yeah.
it's already confirmed, especially on the second topic.
Yeah.
But we're just basically covering some of the subject topic with how it just is. It's just obviously one happened on the 27th, one happened on the second of this month, so that's just kind of
A
the
week
standing ground we
apart.
are. Yeah. So we're just you know Prime is obviously getting on both systems and everything else, which my initial theory was Prime was going to release when, Switch 2 got
I
released.
thought it was going to be a launch title as well, but it is not.
hmm
That
But yeah, I mean,
that being said, we can go ahead and go to the second topic. Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. Everything, and I mean everything, that was covered in that Direct, we will be going over.
Ashton probably has more of me because I just got to highlight that one since I literally took maybe an hour just getting all that last information. But again, with two major directs like that, because they was both an hour apiece too. Well, no,
Yeah.
one was like 38 minutes, then the other one was an hour and 2 minutes
Yeah.
time wise. But so obviously, as we was talking about the last topic, a couple minutes ago, Switch 2 has a release date of June 5th, 2025.
So we were right when we
Uh,
said June.
with a the game at launch is going to be Mario Kart World.
The only launch title.
Yeah, confirmed, anyways.
Yeah.
It's obviously come out June 5th. It's an open world Mario Kart. Like, from my understanding, is you can be in the middle of the race and just lead the race. So it'll be weird not seeing the whole like turnaround sign and
I don't know if you can do that or not. You might be able to, but I know like after the race you can just go do whatever you want. But I don't know if during the race you
specifically
can.
it says it in the direct.
Oh, well, maybe you can. To me, that'd
Yeah,
be
it says
weird and
yeah. Imagine doing
pointless
that
of
on like an
racing.
online map.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, well, I guess I can cover all these before we start actually like talking about them. I'll go ahead and just do that. It'll probably be the easier thing to do.
All right.
Donkey Kong Bonanza, not Bonanza. The Dust Squads got announced. Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which is, my beliefs, is a game for the system. Kirby Air Riders, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, Drag and Drive, Nintendo GameCube for the Nintendo Switch Online expansion, which I will say I verbally yelled whenever that came onto the screen.
I didn't verbally yell, but I yelled in my head because I was at work during lunch and there was a foreman right beside me sleeping. So I couldn't yell, but I,
I was home alone by myself, so I let out a very primal yell. Like it would have embarrassed Ric Flair.
oh yeah,
He would have been jealous over that one.
nice.
Uh, and Nintendo Switch 2 edition games, because this is essentially like their how what Mario Brothers Deluxe and stuff was whenever it went on the Wii U and came to the Switch. This is basically their essentials coming over to the Switch too. But you got Mario Party Jamboree and Jamboree TV, which is just an add-on. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom both have those, which getting the Nintendo Switch 2 may actually be beneficial for me completing both those games because it shows like Korok seeds and stuff in those
The Zelda
little app
notes.
things. Which
Oh
again,
yeah,
we'll talk about all this stuff whenever I get done covering it because this will probably be a while. Uh, Kirby and the Forgotten Land Nintendo Switch 2 edition, Star plus Star Crossed World and Metroid Prime Beyond. Featured games was Elden Ring, Final Fantasy VII remake integrated because ever since the great year of 1998, Final Fantasy VII just constantly came back year after year,
yeah,
like me
that's right.
and Ashton.
Yeah,
Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition, Street Fighter 6, Bravery Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster, Hades 2, Borderlands 4, Split Fiction, Yakuza 0 Director's Cut, Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition, and Project 007. I didn't get the specs because I figured Ashton has all the specs
oh yeah.
because he is a spec person. But that is all the stuff I have highlighted on mine.
All right. Um, Before I get into my section, is there anything you want to talk about from what you just said?
I'm sure we'll wind up talking about it once we go over your section, anyways.
Okay. All right.
I'll let you talk for a little bit this episode before we start discussing things.
Okay. All right, Rollin. I'm not Rollin. Sorry, Colin.
I'm insulted.
I'm sorry. I really recorded 3 episodes with him yesterday, but um, Colin already mentioned the release date. Did you mention the price?
I did not actually know.
It is $450 US for the standalone Switch. It is $500 US dollars for the Switch 2 and the Mario Kart World bundle. Mario Kart World by itself is $80. So
Digital.
digital. Well, there's nothing to actually confirm that in US that physical is going to be $10 more as of yet. That's other countries right now.
But it's also not specified with the tariffs too if it's going to increase the price or not as well because we'll figure that out on the 9th.
Right. Well, yeah, pre-orders were originally set for April 9th, but Nintendo delayed it for the US because of tariffs and because they manufacture in Vietnam and then Vietnam got hit with that 46% tariff. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
um, we'll let you guys know eventually whenever we do find out about the pre-orders. But if you're going to pick up Mario Kart World and you don't care to get a digital edition, get the bundle because that makes that game $50 instead of 80.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I'm getting the physical because I don't like digital. All right. Pre-orders, like I said, were set to begin April 9th. They are no longer. We will update you guys whenever we find out something. But you can go onto Nintendo's website as of right now, and invitations will go out on May 8th. You can go ahead and register your Nintendo account if you pay for Nintendo Switch Online. And you have at least 50 hours of online playtime in the past 8 years with your account, which I hope you do. You can register for a Nintendo Switch 2, and that's Nintendo's way of combating scalpers.
I think I get that in 1 year just off the emulators for Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah. See, Colin's the only one that can do that because he's the leader or parent, guardian, whatever, of our family membership. So I got to go the Best Buy route so I can pick it up midnight release at a physical store.
That's Nintendo's way of stopping scalpers.
Yeah. Okay, Nintendo Switch 2 has 4K support, HDR Joy-Con with mouse controls, which we already knew that, 256 gigabytes of storage, red cartridges, and so much more. Nintendo Switch 2 has a ton of new hardware features and experiences, and it all starts with the console itself that has a 7.9-inch LCD screen that displays games at 1080p. However, those looking for a better resolution will be happy to know that the new dock will be able to output video up to 4K resolution and play games at up to 120 frames per second. So, that being said, 1080p 60 frames per second, or I'm sorry, 1080p 120 frames per second, or 1440p 120 frames per second, or 4K 60 frames per second. You cannot get 4K 120, which almost nothing can play 4K 120 frames per second unless you're playing PC. The new Joy-Con, which connect to the Nintendo Switch 2 with a magnetic snap, looks similar to the original models, but after new features like mouse control, the right Joy-Con also includes a new C button that will work with the new online feature called Game Chat, which Game Chat basically looks like Discord to me, and it's pretty cool. You can see other players if you're playing with their screen, so kind of help each other with whatever you're playing.
Well, if you got the camera attached, well, yeah, because you got a little camera accessory, it can come with this one
I
too.
think they can still see your gameplay even if you don't have the camera. They just can't see you.
Gotcha. Yeah, that would make sense.
Um, it says it is also confirmed that the Switch will have red game cartridges instead of black. 256 gigabyte of internal storage instead of 32 at the original Switch or 64 with the OLED. And the internal storage can be expanded with micro SD express cards, not micro SD cards. It has to be express. The only thing you can use micro SD cards in the Switch to is transferring your in-game screenshots from your Switch 1 to your Switch 2. You cannot put games on a regular micro SD card. And just to give you an estimate on how much more expensive express cards are, I looked yesterday and a 256 gigabyte express card is around $60, and a regular 256 gigabyte micro SD card is about $20. So it's about a $40 difference with 256 gigs. And then, like we already went over game chat. Accessories, you got the Pro Controller, which looks pretty much like the Pro Controller now, but it is rumored, not completely fact, but it's rumored that the both Joy Cons and the Pro Controller both have Hall effect sticks, so they should not drift, or as easy anyway.
Yeah.
And then
I'm
the
sure
can
after 2 million presses in one direction, then you probably still have some issues.
yeah, the Pro Controller will be $80 instead of the $70 that the current Pro Controller is. The camera will be $50, or you can use any USB C webcam you already have. It doesn't have to be Nintendo's. New Joy Cons for the pair will be $90 instead of current $80 for a pair of Joy Cons. Charging grip will be $35. Straps, which also come with your Joy Cons, will be $13. The Joy-Con wheels from Mario Kart are a 2-pack for $20. Nintendo Switch dock set, if you break your dock, lose your dock, or if you want to set it up for 2 different rooms in your house, $110. Carrying case and screen protector, $35. All in one carrying case that also you can carry your dock, your Pro Controller, your Joy-Con grip, all that, $80. And then an extra AC adapter for $30. Sorry I'm rushing through this, guys. I'm just trying to get through it so we can discuss some. First party games, like Colin said, Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and more. Let's see, June 5th. Go through this, see if we can find something else. Kirby Air Riders. Did you talk about Kirby Air Riders or just the Kirby game that was already for Switch?
I mentioned it.
Okay. Breath of the Wild and Legend of Zelda. You mentioned that, but what I want to say about that is a lot of people are getting that wrong online. So a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's going to be $70 for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom." Again, you got to pay for it again. No, that is not the case. If you have the digital and or the physical, you can just update to those games, getting the expansion pack from either Nintendo Switch Online for free or paying $10 a piece for each game, you know. So it's not $70 for both games again. And both of these games, they played on the Treehouse and they look amazing. They streamed at 4K 60 frames, or you can play them 1080 at 120 frames. They look just amazing. And the screen,
No, on Switch, you was playing 1080. If you was docked, you was playing 1080 60 frames.
I think it's capped at
Or was
30.
it 30?
1080
Yeah, it
30
was 30.
or handheld 720 30.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking 720 30, and I was thinking 1080 60. No,
no,
that would have been like a
still
normal
30.
Xbox One PS4 specs.
Yep. Yeah. Um, and I didn't mention the screen is confirmed to have 120 it be a 120 hertz screen, which means you can see up to 120 frames per second on that handheld screen, not
Yeah.
just on the TV. And also, don't forget that if you're playing on your TV and your TV is only a 60 hertz screen, you're not going to see 120 frames. So you might as well not even play it at 1080p or 1440,
Yeah.
120. You might as well just, do for this 4K, even though you can't
Because
see 4K if it's a 1080, but you'll still see that 60.
from my understanding, you'll be able to be like how it is on PC and be able to change your actual like performance settings for
Yeah, there'll
you can
be
control your resolutions.
yeah, there'll be a quality mode and then a performance mode. Quality is the 4K at 60 and the performance is 1080 120. That I know that's confirmed for the two Zelda games and also Metro Prime 4. It's not confirmed for any other game at this time, as far as I know. Metro Prime 4 will be getting Nintendo Switch Edition, which the only difference is, I mean, obviously the mouse controls and the quality and performance modes. A lot of people were seen complaining about the screen being an LCD instead of OLED, saying that's a big downgrade. That is not the case because this screen has HDR. With that HDR, you will not miss that OLED. The only thing you'll miss from the OLED is the darker blacks. That's it. Everything else looks vibrant. The contrast, the colors with that HDR makes that OLED not even make a difference. Okay. Kirby Forgotten Land, Super Mario Party Jamboree. Colin mentioned that. Pokemon Legends ZA is also getting a Nintendo Switch 2 edition, which will feature improved resolution and frame rate. Dragon Strive, you mentioned that. GameCube games. Dust Blood, you mentioned the third party games. Hyrule Warrior. Okay. So I'm pretty sure that's everything. So another thing I want to mention is seeing everybody complain, oh, games are $80, drop the price, whatever. I understand they're expensive, but if you look at it in my eyes, it's not as bad because to me, technically, this starts a new console generation. Whether people want to believe that or not, don't think the Wii U and the Switch were in the same generation. So that being said, it's starting a new generation. It makes sense. Maybe the prices go up. Also with inflation, the economy, look at it. Prices are going to go up. Yeah, it sucks, but I said that's a thing. Gaming is not a necessity; it is a privilege. So
Or it's a want more than anything else too, or that's how it's viewed upon for mostly everybody. Yeah, it sucks that prices are raising. I figured they would do something like this with Tears of the Kingdom being a success 2 years
mm-hmm.
ago, with increasing it by $10 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I figured they would be trying their hands for something more. Inflation is a whole weird, wild beast in itself. We're not really the podcast or financial analysts to cover the actual true values of inflation and stuff. But if you plug in any calculator where you can, have it to calculate for you the price of whatever X costs, like even if you go back to like the Wii era, games were $50 then. Because that's right before they switched to $60.
Mm-hmm.
You adjust that $50 to today's time, you're sitting right there at $85.
Mm-hmm.
So with inflation counted in, gaming was behind for the longest time for the price because it was $60 for almost 20 years. We're
And
sitting right there at about 17, 16 years in reality for it being a $60 being a normal.
right. And back in the 90s, some Super Nintendo games were 70 or $80. I'm sorry, $80 back then. So quick math inflation would be around 136 to $150 today's time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really, I
Again,
mean,
going back to the Wii, it was 285 on launch whenever it done. Adjust that, that's just 2006. Adjust it for inflation, almost 20 years down the road, you're sitting right there at I think 520, 515
Yeah.
ish. So you're still above for a Wii. So it's just the way the economy is and everything else. Yeah, it sounds expensive, and the fact that it has the same specs as a PS4 Pro in a technical standpoint, and that's about how much PlayStation still charging for a PS4 Pro, even though there's a next generation console out.
Mm-hmm. To me, the Switch 2 price, that's fine. Like, there's no issue with that. That's what I expected. I actually expected
Yeah,
more
I know a
around
lot of people are
500.
complaining about it from how technically cheap the Switch was, but
I mean, the Nvidia who makes the processor for both the Switch and the Switch 2 said that the Switch 2 is 10 times more powerful than the Switch. So it makes
yeah.
sense for it to be more expensive, plus with inflation, plus with it being a stronger system.
But I
Not
know a lot of people's counter argument is I could go get a Steam Deck or a ROG for, almost the same price.
That's fine, but they can't play Nintendo games.
That's also true. Can you not emulate off the ROG
You
at least? Because
can,
I know you wouldn't
but
necessarily know about Steam Deck, but
as of right now, especially with launch, there's no way to emulate Switch 2 games.
yeah. And that's another weird thing about the physical copies I've been reading. It's saying that it's not necessarily, yeah, it's a cartridge you can insert, but it downloads the game instead of it actually being the physical game in present.
So that's another false thing that other people are saying. Yes, that is. There's two different ones. There's one that has the whole game on it, or there's one that's a that you're talking about. You download. There's two different kinds.
Okay,
You just got to pay
I've
attention to
only
which one
seen
you're
one.
buying, or some games will only support one or the other. So there are some games, like most first party titles from Nintendo, are probably going to be on a full cartridge. You just insert and plug and play. Most third party, especially your 2K, which you got to
I was
download
saying
even
you could
now.
do or something like that.
Right. So they said there's two different ones. That's another false thing that's going around. That's not the only thing that's. It's not like your Xbox One, PS4. You put the CD in, but you still got to download the whole game. Some of them, yes, not all of them. Back to the prices. Mario Kart is the only $80 game as of right now confirmed for the Switch 2. Bonanza, don't call them Bonanza, is $70. So Nintendo said the $80 price tag, which kind of like they said with Tears of the Kingdom, is a game by game basis on how much they think that game is worth. And another thing with the prices, they cost more to develop. I know people keep saying that, and that's not a great argument, but to me it is, because we talk about almost every week developers losing their jobs, getting laid off. So if I can pay a little extra money, to me, for somebody else to keep their job, to me that's worth it. It might not be worth it to everybody, but to me that is, because I hate to see people lose their jobs for my convenience to a game that I like to play. You know what I mean?
Okay. Speaking of that, though, how'd you like seeing new faces for the Switch 2?
New faces.
New faces, because it was newer people, like you didn't get your Miyamoto or
Oh,
anyone else like that covering Switch topics, or even like the heads and the CEOs of the Japanese and the American one.
uh, I mean, I noticed it. I was like, well, I haven't seen Shigeru Miyamoto or Anuma for the Zelda franchise. I haven't seen him. You did see Sakurai a little bit, but
Yeah,
other than that, yeah, I did think about it, but I was so excited with everything being announced, I didn't put too much thought into it.
yeah.
But yeah, I did miss them. But especially Shigeru Miyamoto, he's got the movie to worry about. He's got all kinds of stuff. So he's like Nintendo World. He's everywhere. So I understand
Mhm.
him not having time. And then Anuma, he also does a lot of stuff like that. So that's probably why they weren't involved with that.
Yeah. But well, yeah, because the which not really a topic, but there was a Zelda movie confirmed now,
March 2027. I can't 26 maybe March 26th.
March 26th, 27.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um.
So yeah, he'll probably be tied up with that, like how Miyamoto was tied up with the Mario series.
Right. Yeah. And Miyamoto, I know he goes to the different Nintendo worlds. They're opening up a new store in San Antonio. I could be wrong on that. It could be complete. I know they're
Oh,
opening a new store somewhere, but I can't remember exactly where. So he might be
just I
tied up
know
with that.
I know they're updating like in Universal, like Orlando
Yeah,
for their Mario World.
right. Yeah, but they're like a new store, like the Nintendo store in New York, like an actual Nintendo store.
Yeah.
There's somewhere else I can't remember for sure. But my overall thought is I'm not upset with Nintendo because I expected prices to go up. Games have been $60 for so long, and like I said, I think this starts a new generation. It's fair that the prices go up, and it's only a game by game basis. Not every game's going to be $80. Mario Kart World, to me, it's a fair price because it is an open world Mario Kart game. And even Bonanza, they could argue to be $80 because it's the first 3D Donkey Kong in since the 64, and it's going to be more like open world. It reminds me a lot of Odyssey, honestly, how it plays and everything.
Yeah.
So
Even like the design of it. I wasn't really a fan of Donkey Kong's design on that one.
it's from the movie.
But well, it still didn't look like how he was from the movie in a technical standpoint. Like to me.
His face is like that's what they were referring to, I
Yeah.
guess.
But the rest of them, I'm I'm like that with just TV shows in general now too, though. So I guess that's more of a personal flaw of mine, like for companies changing animated designs for stuff like that.
I mean, I like the original design better, but I mean, it makes sense that they would stick with the new design from the movie into the game because that's the newest version that people have seen, especially with kids being the kid based company. They're going to go towards what more kids have the most recent memory of, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, it's like I said, it's just amazing to me. I give the overall Switch 2 Direct. I'll say I'll give it a B plus.
B plus. So, what's your drawback from giving a higher score? Just curious.
I'm gonna be in agreement with everyone else. The price is kind of steep on my technical standpoint, especially for Mario Kart. Just because, which I know it's a Mario Kart game, so it'll probably last two console generations.
Yeah,
Because whatever their predecessor is to this console, it'll probably still be a thing on there. Like how they done with the Wii U and Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart 8 lasted literally until June 5th, so 2 more months at the time of
yeah,
recording. So its days are numbered. It has 60 days, almost 59 days since it's later in the evening when we're recording this. But yeah, so like I said, pricing for me is kind of steep, but I'll still definitely be getting one.
oh yeah. Like the console itself to me is fair price. It's not overpriced. It's acceptable. The games, yeah, a little overpriced, but I understand with inflation and how long it takes to develop. To me, they are. You can explain the prices to me. You can.
Mhm.
To other people, no, you can't. But a lot of people don't understand what it takes to develop a game and inflation and stuff. The economy. They don't. A lot of people saying drop the price. They're probably too young to even know what's going on in the world. To me, I don't know. I'm sure there are adults out there saying the same thing, but to me, the prices can be justified. It sucks, yes, but they can be justified in my eyes.
Yeah. What do you give it then? Since you criticized me for giving it a B plus,
To my defense on yours, the prices weren't mentioned in the direct. So
that is fair. That is fair. I will give you that. I guess mine is biased knowledge afterwards.
to me, I give it. You can't give it a perfect score, A minus. I'll give it an A. You can't give it an A plus. I'll give it an A.
How many
Just,
people do you think would have just turned off the direct if they would have said 450 on the direct though?
I mean,
Because they waited like 2 hours after.
probably a lot, but I mean, the PS5 Pro is $700 for a barely upgraded system. The Xbox Series and the PS5 launched what 5 years
Like
ago. for $500. This is a new generation console from Nintendo for 450. To me, that's fine. No issue with that at all. That's what we were expecting.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, it's literally the same, almost the same specs as a PS4 Pro,
Right.
and that's about how much it is now. You know,
Yeah, we're getting
3 years
PS4
ago because
Pro
they came out in
quality
2022.
graphics on this thing in a handheld, which is impressive.
Yeah,
People forget that it is a handheld.
yeah. I technically did because I'm just so used to playing mine docked on TV. Yeah, I'll take it out and about whenever I'm traveling, but I'm still attached to my TV more than it is anything else.
Yeah, same, but it is a handheld. Just because you dock it, it's not more powerful. You know, it doesn't give it extra power. But
Well, you can run higher resolution, but that's about it.
yeah, higher resolution, but that's because of HDMI cables and stuff like that.
And the fact
You
that they
can't
have
run
the same
4K in a
capability.
handheld. Like that's nobody's done that yet.
No, you got 1080 max, like how that is.
Yeah. And me, instead of giving an A plus, just giving a regular A. That's because I'm mad because I was wrong that Metroid Prime 4 is not a launch title.
That's fair. That's fair.
So it's nothing
I was gonna
Nintendo
say
did. It's just they they made me a liar. I guess they not really a liar, but I was wrong, and I don't like to be wrong. So that's Nintendo's fault.
that's right. We technically lied to you guys because we assumed it would be a launch title. We
Yeah,
said we don't know how many times.
yeah, and we were right. It
But
is a cross generation game.
mm,
It will release for both. But obviously, the only one to get if you're getting the Switch 2 is the Switch 2 version. I mean, mouse control, 120 frames per second, or 60 frames 4K. That's an easy pickup right there.
what's funny, out of the whole thing, I think my favorite thing, minus the GameCube, was actually be able to share digital games.
Yeah, I don't buy digital, so that, for me, that's kind of But
Oh yeah, but you can still do it with, well, if once it's downloaded into the system, supposedly you can do it with that game too,
the
like because
virtual
it's
game
downloaded.
cards,
hmm
yeah.
Which I
But
know you and me, how we used to trade games all the time. I was like, oh, this is gonna be like nostalgia. I was like, and I don't even have to drive all the way to Pennsylvania, meet halfway to trade out a game.
yeah,
Because you free accounts can play the same game at the same time.
yeah,
And I
which is
think what
awesome.
family subscription you can hold up to 8 accounts at one time,
hmm Do you
which still is
think
kind of
that
weird because
Nintendo Switch Online price will go up?
with the GameCube being introduced, absolutely.
Are you okay with that? Do you accept that?
For the GameCube,
Yeah,
yeah,
me
yeah.
too.
That's the one thing I'll set the price increase on.
And I mean, and more stuff's included, like the Zelda upgrade, free upgrades if you have Nintendo Switch Online. To me, like that's $20 worth just right there for those two games. You know what I mean? So if it goes up 10, $20, I don't care.
Yeah, and you think that works with every game there's going to be an upgrade pass to, too. That's just
Yeah,
not the Legend of Zelda titles.
right. And before I forget, they said it in direct, but some people went over their heads or they were so excited about paying attention to something else. GameCube is only exclusive for Switch 2 and expansion pack, but Switch 2 only.
Mhm.
Regular Switch will not get GameCube. A lot of people were upset to find out that later, but they said it right in the direct.
Yeah,
But I know people were excited. Probably didn't hear it, but that is a
yeah.
fact.
I was excited when I heard it.
Yeah, but
And that is a buying point for me as well.
oh my gosh, yeah. See, to me, I was, I thought GameCube might
I
come,
mean, it
but to me,
sucks that there's only going to be like 4 titles starting out, but still.
Wind Waker's one of them though, and they're getting slightly like a 2x resolution boost, and some games that support widescreen will get that in Nintendo Switch Online, which only right now you can only do on emulation. So
I'm still surprised how many people have been wanting Twilight Princess to get a remake. I'm surprised they didn't choose that one first over top of uh, Wind Waker, but I know more people relate with Wind Waker and what they do with Twilight Princess. because it was technically you know, switched between consoles like how Breath of the Wild was.
Right. So with that being said, that's another thing I wanted to talk about. Since Wind Waker and GameCube games are coming to Nintendo Switch Online, Switch 2 Online, I guess, will we ever get those remasters put on the Switch too? Because people are saying for years we're going to get those on the Switch, and I think with the GameCube now, we might not ever see those again, or for the Switch 2
I think
generation.
that's Nintendo's loophole for its consumer base is instead of completely remaking the game and charging for it again, they'll just it's easier to just emulate it on their own console.
Right. Because technically, if they release those two games again, that's the third time that they have sold those games. And people would be upset about that. Like, oh, it's not worth $60. You know, people are not worth $70 or $80 now.
Oh, $30.
But, but people complain that they don't have those bundles and they complain, oh, the price isn't worth it. So this is better for Nintendo. Like, here, just take these games and leave us alone.
I mean, that's another weird, ironic thing I think about the prices too, is because if you go out and try to buy a retro game now, because all those games are considered retro, Wind
Oh my
Waker,
gosh. They're
Twilight
expensive.
Princess, or I'm not talking about still copies. I'm talking about used plays, but still in good condition. You're going to be paying $80 to $90 for those games.
Twilight Princess, because it's more rare on GameCube, it's almost 150 bucks.
Smash is 180.
Mm-hmm. To me, that's the best Smash still.
I'm
Melee.
surprised they did not do a Smash game release yet or notification that they've been making one.
Sakurai, he's been working on that new Kirby game, so that's what he's been busy with, which is the creator of Smash. For those that don't know,
Mhm.
um, he's kind of hinted at it in the past, but we'll see. I don't know because he also
Yeah.
said Ultimate was going
Air
to be the last
Rider
one,
does.
but Nintendo, if they want one, they'll make one anyway. So whether they have his
Yeah.
blessing or not.
Yeah. But obviously he's been working on Air Riders, the sequel to the GameCube one.
Right,
Which it was
2003.
just Air Rider, wasn't
It
it?
was Air Ride, Kirby
Air
Air
Ride.
Ride. Yeah,
Which I don't know how many times Nintendo has to stray away from its most famous racer.
Mario Kart.
Because you got Diddy Kong in the past, you had Diddy Kong Racing,
Yeah,
which was, a knockoff of their own big racing game, and then Kirby Air Ride for the GameCube, knockoff of its big racing game. Instead of just bringing those characters as raceable characters on those games.
but yeah, and even Diddy has came to Mario Kart because I know in Double Dash he
Oh,
was in
people
it.
are mad that he got snubbed this time around.
Yeah, he
They
was in
put
Double
that cow.
Dash.
Yeah,
I think that's the last one he was in that I can remember.
yeah. They even put a cataquack in there.
Yeah, but Cow from Moo Moo Meadows.
Yeah. I seen that. I was like, what in the world? Which I was more excited over cataquack.
Yeah,
I was like, if you don't get a special move where you can just flip people over with your bill while you're driving with cataquack, it's just gonna feel not right.
and you're not much of a Mario Kart person, are you?
I ain't played Mario Kart since the Wii version.
The Wii version. So I like Mario Kart. I've played every single one. I have 7, 8. 7 was my favorite, but I'm looking forward to this game. Are you gonna buy it?
I mean, 7 came free whenever I got the 2DS, but I never did play it.
I 100%ed it. It was really good.
I honestly don't know. I mean, I'd probably get it just because it's $50 more instead of paying 80 for it. And I know it's something probably the kids would enjoy at the end of the day. Plus, if you're going to get it, it's something we can play online with now, especially being a Nintendo title.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually, bringing true online play to their systems now
Right.
instead of just running along in the same kind of universe like how they did in Mario Wonder.
Yeah. Right.
Which
So,
that'll be nice when they finally do a 2D Mario like that, like play online with actual people.
yeah, that's so. All the games that are announced so far, are you going to be getting? You said you might probably going to get Mario Kart. Are you going to get Donkey Kong Bonanza, Metro Prime 4? You're probably not going to get Kirby Air Riders.
I, I might actually skip out on Mario Kart and Kirby Air Router
Oh yeah,
because other than Pokemon, that's Ezra's favorite character right now is Kirby.
really?
Yeah, don't know why he's taking a fascination with Kirby, but he has.
I, I mean, I let Zachary play Smash Melee, and he picks Pikachu, Pichu, and then Kirby. So I guess it's just something with Kirby. I don't know.
Well, whenever I let him play Melee, he was choosing Pikachu, Pichu, and Jigglypuff, and then he figured out Kirby, Jigglypuff basically had the same move set because all Smash,
Yeah,
Fox,
clones.
Falco, yeah, clone characters basically. Which Jigglypuff can't change forms or whatever in a technical stance, but that's still what they're based on because they're both pink flying
Yeah,
type characters from that game. Which obviously Kirby can change into whoever fighting. So once Ezra figured that out, he was like, "Oh, okay, I can just do this and change into whoever." Which most of the time, I run with Pikachu anyway, so he winds up still getting Pikachu in a weird sense.
yeah.
But yeah, so I probably would wind up getting Kirby Air Riders.
You're going to pick up Metro Prime 4.
That's the thing. Even like, obviously, I had the game for the GameCube, the original, and played emulated it for that little bit time period, but I still only got to where I got whenever I was a kid and got burnt out on it already. Just wasn't that interesting of a game to me.
Hmm.
Which even like the original Metroid games couldn't really get into those either.
So Metroid's
Like I like using her in Smash, but
yeah.
that's about it.
So I didn't even like it in Smash, but like Metroid's a game I got into later in my adult years, and I really like it. I'll be picking up Mario Kart physical. Everything I get's gonna be physical. So Mario Kart, Donkey Kong, and Metroid Prime 4. That's what I'll probably skip out on Kirby Air Riders,
And I'm mad if they didn't announce Mario Paint.
Mario Paint. Um,
Yeah.
I think somebody said in that that should have been a pack-in title. What the crap? The the one that looks like a Nintendo Joy-Con, that game, whatever it's called. We went over it, but I can't remember what it's called. That one, they
World
said
Tour.
that
Which tour?
yeah, the tour or whatever. Yeah. They said that it has kind of like a mini game in it that reminds them of Mario Paint because you got to use the mouse control and crap. So
Hmm. Yeah, like I said, I don't necessarily agree. I mean, I like the whole voice chat function. The mouse function is still kind of weird, especially since Nintendo is the farthest thing from a PC, which I know people are just doing that. But I know, like when you and me was texting, I mentioned the whole imagine playing 2K with two, you know, mouseuses because throw back to eighth grade English calling mice mouseuses.
yeah,
But just for fun and games. Obviously, I know it's mice, but I'm calling it mouseses because I can.
that's right.
But that drag, well, I can't even remember what I
Drag
called it D
X.
and D.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm just like, oh, I was like, you can trash talk people like how you could in 2K. I was like, but obviously it's a first party title, or it's going to be a first party title for the Switch. That basketball in a wheelchair game.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, I was like, I wonder how toxic Nintendo will let us get on there. I was like, if it'd be like 2K.
Probably. I'll probably pick that up. If we can play online together, maybe that's the new 2K.
I guarantee it.
Handicapped basketball.
Yeah. It's like I mean, that little cross that looked like in between like Rocket League and like
Yeah.
2K would be.
Yeah, but like you use both mice to go with your wheelchair, and then you actually pull up and flick your wrist. You know,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
That's one thing I do miss about the Wii, being able to like actually shoot the ball
You
when you're
can
playing.
on Nintendo Switch Sports. There's on the basketball in there.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's not 2K, but
yeah.
another thing, real quick. We kind of went way over, but we knew we would. Real quick, we forgot to mention the Zelda notes.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you can share notes with people. There'll be like an app, and you can text your friends or whatever. Be like, oh yeah, you can share designs and everything else for like Tears of the Kingdom. You can
And, Breath of
actually
the Wild.
like map where places are if you got
Yeah.
two completely different findings on like Breath of the Wild, from my understanding, which will be nice trying to figure out if you wanted to go back and 100% those
Mhm.
games. Be easy to do, which I think you still do to like the whole map thing with Tears of the Kingdom too, but obviously they focus more on building layer than actual map exploration.
So for both games, you can share items from one friend to another. You have to be friends on Nintendo Switch Online, but you can share. Say, if I had a really powerful weapon, I want to share with Colin. I'll drop it into the game and give it to him. Items, like Colin said on Tears of the Kingdom, anything he's made from auto build, he can send to me, and I can use it. Navigation, so like Apple Maps, Google Maps on your phone. You say, hey, I need to find this shrine. You find that shrine on your phone, tap navigate. You got to be connected to the same Wi Fi network as your Switch. It'll navigate, pick you up on the map, and it'll tell you, oh, it goes northwest. So you go northwest, it's like, okay, continue north. And then until it shows you where the shrine is. So that's a good way for if you can't find a shrine or a light route in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. There's no light routes in Breath of the Wild, but you know what I mean. Good way to 100% those. Cloroxes work the same way.
I'm still missing that one light route.
So
I
there you
still
go.
never found it.
There's your way to find it.
2
See,
years almost, and I still ain't found that daggone thing.
see, I have played Tears of the Kingdom at 60 frames, 1080p on my PC, but this way I can do it.
Legally?
Well, it's still legal because I own the game, but I can do it on actual hardware.
Yeah.
I own the game, so it's not illegal, but I can do it on actual hardware, which will be better because I can take it somewhere with me. I can't take my PC with me,
Yeah.
and I don't have Zelda notes. And on Amiibo, you can scan Amiibo on your phone through Zelda notes. That's another thing instead of on your Pro controller or your Joy-Con. But is there anything else that you want to talk about before we end this episode?
We've held them over for almost an hour. I think they're probably tired of hearing our voices. They
That's
haven't
okay.
already quit listening to us anyways.
That's true. All right, guys. As you can tell, we are very excited about this Switch 2. Can't wait for it to come out. But that is all the topics we have. We appreciate you guys for listening. Follow all of our podcast socials, our Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Discord, Twitter, Instagram, all that crap. Buy merch on Redbubble and TeePublic. Colin, do you have anything?
Nope. Later, guys.
All right, catch you guys next week.